The forgotten episode was absurdly prosaic when it first turned up. A mislabeled hard drive, an odd digital file found under a box of old casework at the station, tagged evidence_archive 2018. Someone had been clearing out drawers and files, and in the process had found an old external drive that had not been touched since the days when physical DVDs had still been used to ferry images around. Kit had pulled it out of a box with curiosity and a certain guilty, nostalgic pleasure. He liked things neat. He liked their edges to be tidy. He liked the satisfying click of a folder opening to reveal what belonged where. "It's probably CCTV from the old mill," he said at first, tapping it into his laptop at the back of the station. The file list populated like a string of beads. There were interviews, locker room footage, a shaky clip from a party where Costello had been visibly tipsy. Then Kit's brows lifted at a cryptic title, Operation Azure Deployment Episode Number 7. The name alone carried the wrong sort of weight. Kit's face lost its easy expression. He called Lisa before he even watched the first minute because she had some claim of ownership over these things now that the Costello investigation had reopened old sores. "You might want to see this," he said, voice locked in the careful cadence of a man who'd learned to deliver news gently. Lisa nearly dropped the phone. Nights had become a slow, careful ritual of avoidance since the whole Costello mess had returned like a bad dream. She had forged safety into a daily habit, bedtime stories for Betsy, a brief walk after supper, the odd call to Carla to align schedules. If someone told her there was one more reason to reopen the past, she would have preferred it to be untrue. She walked into the tiny back room of the station, where Kit had shut the blinds and allowed the glow of a screen to make a pool of light. On the laptop, the forgotten episode began. At first, it was clinical. A man's voice in a small in-studio room introducing the operation. File names scrolled. There were title cards, legal disclaimers, the kind of bureaucratic preamble designed to protect everyone's conscience with a screen of words. It was dry and professional, the opposite of drama. But then the footage turned to handheld cameras. It was in Valencia Park, on a wet Tuesday, the kind of day where people kept their coats tight and swallowed their irritation. Becky was younger in the footage, though only by the looseness of laughter that the years had smoothed into a practiced stillness. She moved like someone half-shadowed by the needs of a deception, present enough to perform, remote enough to be read as ambiguous. A man in plain clothes, Costello, younger, his hair less gray, his jaw harder than she remembered, nodded at someone off-camera. The handheld operator caught a small exchange that looked unremarkable until a second camera swung to the side and revealed another figure. A woman with the same hollow look Lisa had seen in Becky when she'd returned from Spain. Then the audio snapped like a wire. The second camera captured a private moment, the kind of footage that should never have been left unsafeguarded. It was Becky and Costello, moving away from the public bustle of the park toward an alley with the resigned concentration of people about to perform something necessary and ugly. Becky spoke first, voice low and urgent, the kind of hush people use for confessions and bargains. She said a name Lisa knew, not hers, not Carla's, but a name tied to a memory Lisa had tried to keep untouched. Her mother's maiden name. "Listen," Becky said, the camera catching the movement of a lip as if she were tasting the words. "If we do this, you have to promise nothing leaks. You have to promise it's handled clean. I don't want anyone to think I did this for attention." Costello's face was unreadable in the grainy footage, but his hands were not. He held a stack of papers, a form of legal paper stamped with the insignia of a police department. The camera caught the moment he slid a small envelope across the bench. Becky took it. The lens blinked, and the footage cut to another angle. Becky telling the camera, the operator in the background, that she would need a cover story, a disappearance with plausible deniability. They discussed a fictitious accident. They discussed the logistics. Becky's voice was steady. She was practiced in this. It was not the wild gesture of a woman given to dramatic flights. It was the meticulous planning of someone ready to take a risk. Lisa's breath hitched, though she didn't immediately know why. The half-recalled name had flamed like an old bruise. Her hands found their palms, working to anchor the tremor that threatened. Kit watched her, jaw tight. "I didn't want to show you this until I was sure," he said quietly. "But it was on the drive. We don't know why it was. Who put it there? This was supposed to have been deleted or stored somewhere."